What if helping your kids let go of stuff could help your whole family find a whole lot more joy? Well, today we're talking about exactly that, how decluttering doesn't have to be a battle in the home, but quite the opposite. It can be a joyful practice that brings more calm, connection, and creativity to your home. I'm Amy Nesbitt, your host to the Whole Wellness Mama Summit, and I'm super excited to welcome back the wonderful Deanna Yates.
Oh, hi, Amy. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you back. You are the top-ranked podcast host, Wannabe Clutter Free, who's helped millions of families simplify their homes and hearts, but a lot of people might not know you yet. Since we last talked, you have a new children's book out too. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I loved it. But before we start diving into all the talk, can you share a little bit about your quick story for those meeting you for the first time?
Yes. Well, as you already said, you already did such a great intro. Want to be clutter free? I have a podcast. Amy has joined me on there before, so make sure she's always wonderful. So as you love to listen to her, come and check that out too. But yeah, my whole story started when we actually, as a family, traveled. We sold 90% of what we owned. And I think people think that's the beginning of my story, but it's not because that while that was great and it was wonderful, we came back, did what normal humans do, and we bought a house. It was a 3 bedroom kind of fixer upper, but we ended up filling up that house with stuff because we thought that's what we were supposed to do, right? The travel was just kind of this adventure thing we did with our 1 year old at the time. Yes, we are quite adventurous. But then coming back, we felt guilty about traveling without toys and not having all the things and wanting her to have the best life she could have and all those things and being near family. And everybody was so nice and helped us fill up this home with things they no longer wanted to. But then from that point, that was where I realized, like, oh my gosh, life is already stressful. It's going to be stressful. But when we have this whole layer of stuff and a house filled with stuff that is difficult to manage and maintain and clean and organize and all the things with a toddler, that was when I was like, okay, we got to get this under control. And I really took on this idea of intentional living. I have tried on minimalism. I think I'm more of a minimalist than a lot of my family, but I have realized that it's not about the least amount of stuff, it's about the right amount of stuff for you and your family. And that is different for everyone, but that's me in a nutshell. Now I help moms figure out what that means for them.
I love that because there is no one size fits all, right? And I love that you address that.
Yeah,
So decluttering, we often think of it as an adult task or, things that we have to sort through. And it's a struggle when we think about getting our kids to jump in on that. So we often avoid it, right? That's our tactic.
totally.
What do you hear most from parents as their biggest struggles for decluttering, especially with kids?
Well, no one wants to do it, right? I think that's the first and foremost. I think we come at it from an angle of loss and getting rid of and anger and frustration and everything's such a mess and we can't find anything, we can't do anything. No, it's all this like negativity, right? It's really a negative thought process because by the time we get there, we're super frustrated, right? If life is going fine, you've got enough cabinets to put everything away, you're not losing anything. No one thinks about decluttering. It only comes into play when we are overwhelmed, frustrated, and just really ready to tear our hair out, right? Like we're just like, we're over it. We also have to realize maybe not everybody else is on that journey as far as we are. I think it starts with us and a realization, right? Awareness is first. I think we need to work through some of our own things first before we try to bring everyone else on. You know, yes, the toys are going to be a lot. Yes, there might be a lot of kids' clothes. Yes, it can be overwhelming, but we also have to hold the mirror up to ourselves and say, like, oh, I'm the one that allowed it to come into the home. I'm probably the one that bought a lot of the things and brought these into the home, or I asked for these gifts for our child for Christmas, for birthdays, for, whatever holidays we celebrate. And so I think there's also that moment not to feel guilty about it, but just to have the awareness of like, okay, this is a group problem. It's not one person in the family. It's not just me. It's not just them. It's not just my mother in law. I get that a lot. But my mother
Yes.
in law is always giving us stuff. Great. Okay. We don't have to keep everything that comes into our home. This is our home as our family. And we need to decide those people that are living under this roof, what it is that we want to do. So I think we need to switch the lens from negativity to positivity. And one way we can do that is to say, let's figure out our favorites, right? If everything is special, then nothing is special. Because the whole idea of special, priority, favorite, it's one, right? One or a few. It's a curated list. It's a small amount of these things that we actually love and cherish. And so that's where I think we need to get back to this idea of like, okay, we can have anything we want, but we can't have everything we want. Because once we start to try to have everything, you will find your kids are playing less with all of the things they have. They get overwhelmed. You get overwhelmed. It's this idea of too much choice, right? That paradox of choice creates these feelings of discontent. You you start to look and like, oh, well, maybe I would have more fun if I were playing with that thing because you have more options. So the fewer options we have, the happier our kids actually are, and that goes against society, right? That goes against everything
Yeah.
we think about for today.
Yeah. I'm like, are you looking into my house? Like literally yesterday, I was walking down the hall, came out of my office space and stepped on, things in the hallway because my kids' rooms are on the way out. And I think it was just a stressful day, right? And so I went,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. Like, you guys need to clean up your stuff. And that's not how I want to respond. And I know they have a lot of stuff, and I am responsible, like you said, for a lot of the stuff that comes in. Um, it's easy to blame the grandparents, like you were saying, because we keep saying we'd rather have experiences or we'd rather have things, right? But I mean, other things that are not tangible, physical, occupying space things, but it is a struggle. It is definitely a struggle.
Yeah.
Um, I like that. We can have wait, can you say it
We
again?
can have anything we want. We just can't have everything we
Yes.
want.
Yes.
Right.
Oh.
And I think that's a great lesson to teach our kids as we're going through life, too. Right. Same
Hmm.
with I mean, as I've gotten older, I can do anything I want. I just can't do everything I want. So I have to figure out, and I don't actually, I don't want to do everything. Like, I think when you start to figure out, you're like, oh, I don't actually want to do everything. Like, our daughter, she ended up not really being a doll girl, but lots of people would give her dolls and she'd be like, okay. So we had all these dolls for so many years and she just really didn't play with them. She wanted Legos and, things to build with and things to create with. She's not really much of an artist. So again, we can have everything. Or we can have anything. Sorry, we can have anything, but not everything. And it turns out you don't want everything.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you start to give yourself that freedom of like, okay, I can try something, and if I don't like it, I don't have to keep it. It does not have to become part of my identity or my children's identity. It is fine. We can let it go and just give ourselves that freedom of saying, turns out that wasn't our thing. That wasn't our jam. People aren't into that. That is totally okay. And I think it feels really great to have that moment of like, oh, okay, I have permission to let it go.
Yeah. Deanna, that is such a deep thing for not just the cleaning, right? But as you mentioned,
Yeah.
for life. And I think that goes in sports. That's a mentality I have of, okay, kids, try things. You're not going to be the next, like pro NBA player or whatever. But if you like basketball, go try it. If you want to try baseball, go try it. If you want to try whatever, um, you can try whatever, right? And even in me being a working mom and doing all these other things that I want to do for me, that is something where I have had to learn I can't do everything. I need to start outsourcing things. I need to start letting people help. And also realizing which are the things that are not serving me, right? And letting go. So I think that's just a life journey that we all need to do.
Yeah.
And if we can teach our kids that at a young age, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk more about how hard it is for our kids to let go of their stuff.
Yeah.
Not that it isn't for adults, because I have that too. As you know, before this, we were talking about pictures and like those things that are nostalgic to us. And our kids have that too. How can we help them through it all without the tears or stress for one or both of us?
Yeah, right. Not just for the kids, right? Yeah, there's lots of crying involved for parents as well. When we are struggling to do these because we're trying to build up these life skills, right? I think if we look at it again from that angle with a little bit more of a holistic approach, a little bit more empathy, also thinking, how would you feel? This is why I tell moms and parents and adults that they have to start with their own stuff, right? You have to at least have decluttered something of yours so that you understand the journey that people are on. You can't just expect, like, just throw it away. That's not realistic, right? We have to be realistic with our approach and what we're doing. And that way we don't build resentment, right? If you come at it with empathy, your kids are gonna be like, oh, okay, they did it too. And I have a story from one of the moms that I was working with. She had a craft business and she decided that she was going to let go of that craft business and focus on something else. So, again, giving up something to really go after what she really wanted. And it was a struggle for her. It was really hard for her to let that go, but she shared that journey with her daughter and was like, okay, I'm letting this go. I'm getting rid of these things. And they decided that they were going to gift those items to a local assisted living facility. And her daughter then went into her room and started to declutter some of her things that she could also give. So I think when we share the journey that we are on, our kids are receptive to it. So coming from that place of empathy and then also making it more fun. Let's not make it this drudgery, right? It can't be like, we've got to declutter today. No one's going to be on board with that. Like, watch your kids at school. Like, their teachers are like, hey, we're going to learn today. And you're like, okay, I could never be that person. But let's borrow from the world, right? Let's put on some fun music. Let's watch a Bluey episode about like how they're decluttering. Mr. Monkey Jocks is a kind of a fun one. So like find different things for you to be able to say like, okay, we're going to be in a mood today. We're going to make sure we have some snacks. People are well fed and we're going to make this a game. We're going to put on some music and then make it fun. So I'll talk about my book for a little bit. At the end of the book, it's also the freebie I'm giving away. So if you want another resource for you, there are labels. So in the book, it's called Lenora and Her Super Duper Messy Room. But she learns that by sorting her things into things I want to keep, the treasures, my favorite things that I want to keep, the things that I want to give to other people, to children that need things that don't have as much stuff as I do, and then the toss, the things that are worn out, too worn to possess. Nobody should be having these things, right? So these three piles, um, it's shocking how when you give your children these little things to aim for, to shoot for, to do, they are on board. They're like, oh, sweet. Now I know what I'm supposed to do because it's so just such a big lofty thing to say, let's declutter. Nobody knows what that means. Let's find your things that you love and put them in this pile. Find things that you're kind of over. Let's put them in that pile. Let's find things that really should go in the garbage. We'll put them in that pile. And they love it. So make it fun. You can write those yourself. Otherwise, my freebie are these themed ones. So if you like superheroes or fairies or princess or mermaids or pirates or sports. So I've got all these fun little labels. I think the pirate one might be my favorite.
I
It's
gotta check
like
it out.
it's like walk the plank for the things that go in the toss,
Oh,
and give
love
Denny
it.
Hardy's for the give things for your
Yeah.
friends. Anyway, I just had a lot of fun with those, and I think the kids really like them as well. So we need to get out of drudgery mode, turn off the negativity, take some deep breaths yourself before you start the process, and then figure out how can we make this a little more fun on their level and understand like you would hate if someone came into your closet and was like, I haven't seen you wear this in a month. I haven't seen you this is dumb. No, you don't like that, right? If somebody came in and just started like chucking your things and putting all of these weird sayings that we do to our kids on our stuff, we would be so mad. So we just have to take it from their level. And I think it won't be as hard as we have built it up to be as well.
Yeah, I love making anything a little more fun, right?
Yeah.
We can do it. All those things that we dread or think it might not be as fun, there are ways to make everything more fun. Like audiobooks are a huge thing. I make my commute a lot more fun, you know?
Yeah.
If we can just be a little creative, and my kids and I have had some fun times. Like, okay, just put 10 minutes on, let's take this small space, right? And see how many things we can find or whatever. My kids can be quite competitive, so it's just kind of fun to
Yeah. Yeah. Who
know
wins?
your audience
Yeah.
and find the fun.
Yeah, if you have siblings and they're okay competing against each other, some siblings aren't, but if they
Yeah.
are, be like, okay, who can find 10 things first that
Yeah.
they're ready to part with, And I think that's really fun too.
Yeah. So we obviously have an audience with a varying group of ages.
Mhm.
How can we make some age appropriate recommendations to involve kids?
Yeah, so I think the younger the kids are, the more hand holding you're going to have to do, right? Obviously. So, but even our littlest kids, you can have them pick their favorite stuffies, or their favorite, outfits or their favorite whatever. And then also know that everything in life goes through stages, right? Especially when they're little kids. They're going to grow so fast and you'll figure out which ones are their favorites. And if you have highly sensitive kids, and you're like, because I'm going to raise my hand here. I mean, my daughter knew every stick she picked up, every rock she
Mm.
had. She knew where it came from. She knew who she was with when they found it. Like and I'm like, it's a stick in a box and you've had it for 3 months. And she still knew, right? She knew exactly which one. I was like, okay. But eventually the days come where they're like, oh, yeah, I don't need that anymore. So I think sometimes we as parents get really nervous that like you're gonna have to hold on to this box of sticks until they're 18 and then like suddenly it's gonna have to just be like kindling for the fire after they leave. I don't know. But they will eventually, generally. Now, we still have some sticks in our house that she really is like, no. We had a
That's
tree
my
that was
favorite
cut down in
stick.
the backyard. She's like, no, that is from hope. She names the trees. That is
Mm.
hope. And then we had a ficus come down. She just named that May. So, she names her trees. I don't know what it is, the girl in sticks. But I'm just saying this as an example of like, I know that sometimes there's weird things that you're like, I don't get it, but that's not for you to get, right? Just like you have weird quirks about you. So as they're younger, just pick a just shorter amounts of time, right? The younger they are, the shorter amount of time it is, and just have them pick 1 to 5 things. Like fewer things, shorter amount of time, shorter attention span. The best trick is to stop what's coming into the house in the first place, right? So
Mm.
if you can stop it before it even enters your door, that's great. We implemented taking pictures of things at stores instead of buying them. Like, oh, great. You really want that, I don't know, rainbow loom bracelet making kit. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a picture of it. When your birthday rolls around in four
Yeah.
months, we're going to have a bunch of pictures now to send off to grandma and grandpa or auntie and uncle or cousins, whatever, to buy you presents. That's great. Now you've already got that list done. You don't have to be panicking a week ahead of time, mama, to figure out what the heck your child wants. You've already go back to your camera roll, put them in a, album so and you can reference them back, makes it super simple. But that way it also satisfies that moment for the child of being like, but I really want this thing. Great. We are not going to forget that you want that thing. It's on your list. And we're going to start to, you know, build up over time this idea that we don't have to have instant gratification for everything, which is really hard in today's day and age. And then as they
Mhm.
get older and they've learned, that's the other thing. If you're starting with older children and you have never taught them how to declutter, you're going to have to spend some time telling them what that means. Just like go clean your room, but my room looks fine to me. Okay, what does this mean? This means go pick up 10 things that you are ready to let go of. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, go pick up the clothes that are on your floor and put them away in your dresser. Okay, come back to me when you're done with that. Okay, and so you have to teach them what that means step by step along the way. And it might seem really simplistic and it might seem a little daunting at first, but the more you do it, as with everything in life, the more practice you get, the easier it will get, and everyone will start to know what that means when you say, go clean, go declutter, go do all the things you want them to do.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing that we need to remember that we learned it too, right?
Mhm.
And I remember I would get upset with my kids, like, oh my gosh, it's so messy. You guys got to do stuff, right? But it's exactly that. They didn't know how do I start and got overwhelmed, right? But once we started doing things together, like suggesting, okay, why don't we organize, this in this way, or how would you want to do it? It's totally fine. And the other day, they got really excited when I came home from work and their floors were spotless, their beds were made. It's like, what happened to my children? Like, I was exaggerating, but
Yeah.
they loved being able to show me their finished result.
Yeah.
And so I think there is like this whole aspect to it also, right? As they're learning these skills and they get really excited, they get confident about it. It rolls into other things as well. Um, but I want to also talk about like the guilt or
Mhm.
perfectionism that we might pass on to our kids, right? Or the expectations of we expect them to do things certain ways. And I could have come into their room and been like, oh, that one thing wasn't picked up, right? Or, oh, that's not how I would have organized it. So, can we talk about that a little bit and letting go of how they do things?
Yeah. Specifically to that point, I think you need to think of the bigger game, which you did, right? But those that are listening, think of the long game, right? Would you rather come home to a room that is 98% done and you're like, okay, that 2%, like, are you willing to forgive that 2% for 98% done? Or do you want to nitpick that 2% and then come home to a home that's 50% done because they're too afraid that mom's not going to be happy with what they do? Right. So it's okay that things aren't done exactly how you want to do them. Like, is done good enough? Yeah. Okay, great. Like, don't let, what's the saying? Don't let perfectionism get in the way of done or something like that. Like, don't let perfect be the end, or perfect is the enemy of done, something like that. I don't know. There are a couple different versions of that
Lots
saying,
of,
but
yeah.
I think we also, yeah, need to understand like we think something is the right way just because that's how we do it, but that doesn't mean it is the only way to do
Mhm.
something. And I want to, as our daughter's growing up, I want her to be able to trust her instincts, right? When she goes out in the world, I want her to be able to say, like, no, this is what I think, and this is what I think is right. And I believe in this idea. And we can do that starting with their rooms and giving them some agency over how they do things. So it is a skill that can build up over time. And think of it as a confidence booster for them. And one of the things that I have seen come up, this is a very specific thing. So I think this will help a lot of people a lot when your children are decluttering and they pick something up and there is still emotion there for you around that thing, like maybe it was expensive or maybe it was something you had as a child that you thought they were going to really love, but turns out they're ready to declutter it, do not second guess them. Just say, oh, okay, great. No emotion. Like, don't be like, are you sure? Oh my gosh. Oh, I remember when, oh, because they're going to start second guessing what they're getting rid of. And we don't want that for them. We want them to be like, I am confident in my decisions. Because how hard is it for you to declutter, right? Like, wouldn't it be nice if you were confident in your decisions? So let's try to help our children be more confident in their decisions. And if you are not ready to part with that thing, or you think they're going to regret it, you can set it off to the side. So, first off, if you think they're going to regret it, stash it in the garage somewhere if you can and give it a few months. And if they never ask for it in like 1 to 3 months, be like, okay, they were good in their decision, then declutter it. If it's something that you are emotionally still attached to, well, it's no longer their item. It becomes your item. And you can say, okay, I'm happy that you are ready to go let go of that. You know what? Is it okay if I have it? Because I still like it. And then it becomes your thing. But it is not stored in their room. You cannot keep it in their room. It becomes your thing in your room because if it means so much to you, then you need to put it in your collection. And that might mean that you need to lose something else. So then you're going to have to make that decision for yourself, whether it's something you want to keep or you're ready to part with. But I've seen that come up before. And I think if we can, that can really alleviate that guilt or perfectionism as we're trying to not pass that on.
Yeah. And for the moms listening, that's happened to me. I've done that
Oh, yeah.
before. So I think we've all been there and we're all doing this together, right?
Yes, it is from a learned experience for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. No, it's been a fun journey for us to learn together and also for me as a parent because my husband is more of the
Mm,
less stuff camp. And I think we have talked about when one thing comes in, we have to get rid of something, right? We
yeah.
can't keep adding things. And we're also not very good at being strict with that and sticking with that. So that is on me and for us as parents to learn as well. Um, but there's another thing that you mentioned of what we don't want to hear ourselves, right? If a peer told us
Oh,
that,
yeah.
would we want to hear that? I think we often forget that kids should be treated in similar ways, or at least we should, not every way, but right. Um,
Yeah.
but we should think about that because they are people too, even though they're smaller, they
Yeah.
are people that have those same reactions. And so it is so easy for us to say things to our kids or, like, because I said so, or like, oh, you want that thing, kind of demeaning
Totally.
and um, make them feel not as important. But would we want to hear that? Would we want that to be said to us? I think that is a huge thing that you mentioned that I just want to call out for people.
Yeah. I've heard it said one time that the way you talk to your children is eventually the way they will talk to themselves.
Mm.
And so,
Ooh.
how do you want, like, first off, listen to how you talk to yourself, because I think sometimes that is how I talk to the rest of my family. And that
Mm.
is like the mirror of, like, ooh, ow, I need to be nicer to myself too. Like, I need to
Mm.
be nicer to them. I need to be nicer to myself because they start to become an extension of you. And so I have, yeah, but that one always stuck with me. How I talk to her is eventually how she will talk to herself. And that one really kind of summed it up for me really well.
Oh, I love that. Let's all take that away. Okay. I'm huge on life skills. We've talked about it throughout this chat, and these are things that they're going to carry away, right? Which is why I love teaching these decluttering skills from a young age and partnering with
Yeah.
them and showing them that we're not perfect either. So, we've already talked about a number of skills that they would be developing. Are there any other ones that you want to call out specifically of why decluttering is really important for those life skill building?
Yeah, we already talked about confidence, resilience, I think decision making, right?
Mhm.
Because in the instant gratification, not having to have things instantly, being able to build up some patience and perseverance as we work through these things. And then also just the ability to be self confident, right? Knowing who it is that they are and what they want out of life. I think that can be really, our stuff is a reflection of who we are. And that's also why sometimes it's hard to get rid of things because sometimes we feel like we're losing part of our identity. But I think if we can help them understand that life comes in seasons and it's okay if you liked something at one point and your tastes have changed. Like, I think that is a life skill that was been really hard for me to overcome. And so being able to help her through that as well, of like, I mean, that was just part of how it went. And if you are struggling to declutter, I like to look at it from that transitions standpoint. So as, you know, the big times of year, right? So New Year's is always a big one, but often, graduating or promoting to the next school year
Mm.
is really big too. So if you're struggling with knowing how to start this, you can say, like, okay, well, you're heading into second grade. What is it that you think second graders, like? What do you want to try this next year? How do you want to progress forward in life? And not that it's always a forward progression, but just like, what are the things that you're excited about for this next year? And again, putting that positive spin on it and then saying, like, okay, well, you said you want to get more into drawing or you want to get more into building. What are the things that we're going to take in your room with us as we go forward into this next chapter? And what are those things that you're now ready to part with because you don't want to do those anymore, or you tried that thing and you didn't like it? And it's okay to let that stuff go. Being okay moving forward, I think, is really important to teach our kids.
Yeah. And you mentioned the sharing with others part too. I think
Mm.
that is a huge thing of building
Yeah.
empathy. And it's not just about loss, right? But it's about giving
Yeah.
to others, whether you know the person or not. Um, we talked about that for books. Like, we really want to start a little free library, and it's
Oh,
a
I
way to
love
give back
that.
to the community, right? Of people that might want to read, and you still get to
Yeah.
interact, and it just like brings life in a different way. So thinking about things in that way too, of being
Yeah.
able to share from the abundance that you have, right, for others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that one back around for sure. Yes. And it really does help. I've seen that a lot too. When we can get so inner focused in our lives, right? Me, it's mine, mine, mine. But being able to say, like, no, I have a lot, I have enough, right? And I can share and I can give. And this is one way that your kids really can give and share when there may not be a lot of volunteer opportunities available for little kids. And so this is one way that if, that's important to you, you can help them see that they are really helping others and giving back and doing that kind of thing. Yeah.
So many things that we could go off of. We could talk all day of how like this is really good for our kids, right?
Yeah, it is.
But we like to give one quick tangible action step for people before we end our talks because we've talked about a lot, and some of them are more long-term changes that we need to make for ourselves or our families. What is your one family-friendly decluttering challenge today?
Yeah, let's just do a quick tidy, right? Let's do a tidy in 10, set the timer for 10 minutes, pick a song, and then find 10 things, right? So just keep it simple. I mean, it doesn't, yes, it can go longer. You can do more if you get into it, but just keep it really simple. 10 minutes, 10 things, go do it.
And you said it, it could go longer, right? If you're having a ton of fun, go for it,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. And you
Yeah.
might find 10 things in 1 minute. Go ahead and stop. If you find 10 things in 1 minute, you're fine. You do not have to continue. But I think we can say, like, okay, I can find 10 minutes in my day. So if you have 10 minutes, go for it. I think you'll be shocked at how much you can get done in 10 minutes.
Yeah. And for us, it's been like a momentum builder where it's fun and you
Yeah.
keep going. And then like the next day you do, it's surprised how much cleaner it gets in just 10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. And we talked about the resource. You touched on it
Yes.
a little bit because it's in the
Yeah.
back of your book and you have amazing other ones like the pirate one that I'm going to go look up after this. But can you talk about that a little bit more and
Yeah.
how people can find that?
Yeah, for sure. So that is going to be, well, we'll have the link.
Yes.
So you'll have the link to that as well. But yes, it's just a really fun way. So if you have the book, they're actually at the back of the book as well. So there are just kind of these fun Crayola, like crayon kind, that are doodles and drawings and things like that. But just having this resource, just being able to print it out, there, that's a freebie for you too. So you can just go grab those labels and print them out right away. It's just a way to help say, like, this is what we're doing right now, and just makes it really simple. So like I said, there's mermaid, unicorn, fairy, princess, sports, pirates, superhero, animals. I don't there's a few there. So yeah, it's really really fun.
I love that. Yeah, just like adding these fun things, right? It's just little touches.
Yeah,
Very
little
clear,
touches.
very, yeah, very fun.
Yeah.
Now, for people that are upgrading to the VIP pass, which people should for the cost of it, it like pays for itself in like one bonus that a speaker includes, right? And there's so much. This is for the adults, right?
Yes.
Because we have things that we find hard to declutter, and your resource is one of the things that speak to my heart. So, can you share what your VIP freebie, no, not VIP,
Yes.
VIP upgrade resource is?
Yes. Well, you are getting it for free as the VIP upgrade, but it is the Ultimate Photo Declutter course. And basically, it's helping you take the guesswork out of decluttering, organizing, and backing up all of your digital photos. Um, this was a really big challenge for me. We have thousands of photos and we still have thousands of photos. So this is not getting down to your top 5 favorites. Like you can still have tens of thousands of photos as long as they're organized and you know what you've got. Um, but it's just a way for you to, we had before we were talking about this, I had USB drives and SD cards and hard drives. And I mean, every time we got a new computer, I ended up with like another version of the photo software. And so this was a way for me to cull all of them together and streamline it, get rid of those duplicates, get rid of those blurry photos, get rid of the ones that you are never going to look back on and you don't actually want, and then back them all up because your photos are some of the most precious things you have. So I think as busy moms, like we know we've got a lot of photos and I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate when I was trying to take photos and it would be like, you are out of storage. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to panic and delete 20 of these. I don't know. I don't know how many photos I need for the rest of today. But this is a way to just kind of get rid of that, do it one time, declutter and organize and get your photos done. So then you feel better going forward and you know, like, okay, I'm confident in the fact that we have our photos, they're backed up. If anything ever happened, then at least I would still have my photo memories.
Yeah, I think I'm dating myself, but I still have a stack of physical
Oh, I
photos
still have physical photos.
go through.
I think I have well, I've gone through them a lot. I have one shoebox.
Yeah.
I haven't digitized them yet myself. So
Yeah, so many things. Photos are a huge part of our lives, and this resource is amazing. So, not only if you upgrade to the VIP pass, you get that amazing resource, but you get to keep these talks to come back to over and over. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. I highly recommend, but your decision. Now, anything else you want to leave with our mamas before we end, and where can people connect with you further?
Yes. Well, I would just love to end with I know you can do it, right? I know it's hard. I know it's so overwhelming, but try just little bits at a time. Please do not try to do everything all at once. That is a surefire way to fail. Trust me, I know because I've done it before. But just doing a little bit of a time, having some grace with yourself if you have a rough day and you don't end up following through on whatever you planned that day. It's okay. There's more time to be made up. You are an amazing mom. You're an amazing, person and a partner and all of the things that you are, daughter, mom, sister, all of the things, right? You've got so many hats you're wearing. So just have some grace with yourself, but go ahead and, try some new things. I know that you can do new things and hard things when you put your mind to it. So go ahead and do that. And then come follow me at wannabeclutterfree.com, the podcast, everything on Instagram, all of the things are the same. So right here.
And we'll have all the links so you don't have to run for it.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Deanna. It is always a pleasure.
Oh, thanks, Amy. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.